I'm gonna be completely honest here. I didn't know who Steven Seagal is. I never watched any of his movies in my entire life. Until now, of course. I remember the first time I was introduced to Steven Seagal was back in 2016 on a prank show starring famous Egyptian prankster Ramiz Jalal. Basically, every Ramadan, he makes a different prank show where he invites a famous person for an interview, and then the interview goes horribly wrong. Each year was a different concept, and in 2016, he invited the guests into a hotel and then set the hotel on fire. And that was the funny, apparently. So, on one episode, he featured Steven Seagal, and I remember my mom pointed it out that it was Steven Seagal, and I asked who that was, and she just said, nah, he's a shit movie actor, and I never asked the question ever again. I don't know, something about Steven Seagal is just the giant slob of a human being that he is, trying to escape this obviously scripted explosion happening in a hotel, kinda just felt hilarious to watch. Now, years later, JonTron uploaded a video talking about Steven Seagal whenever he's not on a movie set, and he just pointed out how batshit crazy he is in real life. And then later, I watched Ralph the Movie Maker, who uploaded a video talking about bad Steven Seagal movies, which is basically all of his movies. Now, I'm an optimistic man. I like to give everything a chance before I cast my judgment on it. So, I gave Steven Seagal a chance. I booted up his latest and freshest movie, Beyond the Law, and decided to watch it with an open mind. Now, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, grab a snack, and let me take you through the cinematic masterpiece of legendary actor Steven Seagal, Beyond the Law. Yeah, this movie's fucking awful. Beyond the Law? More like Beyond the Boring. If there's one thing worse than a bad movie, it's a boring movie. Honestly, I have nothing to say about this shite movie. The story is very bland and two-dimensional, the actors are awful, the dialogue's appalling, the movie is boring. Everything about the experience of me watching this was just terrible. The main character of the movie isn't even in the movie for most of the time. He's barely in this damn thing despite him being on the front cover of it. And whenever he's actually on camera, he's sitting down and mumbling his dialogue. The other actors were pretty decent, it's just that I can't judge them because the roles and script given to them is just terrible. The actual main character of the movie, Frank Wilson, played by Johnny Messner, sounds oddly familiar to J.C. Denton from Deus Ex.
Sometimes when you can't find a man, it's because he don't want to be found.
Why are you locked in the bathroom? You talking to me? Maybe you should try getting a job. Okay, where?
Here are some cool and wacky facts about Frank Wilson. 1. He has cancer and coughs blood. This is never brought up ever again. 2. His wife died of cancer. Fucking hell, what the... 3. He's an ex-cop. 4. He's a dirty ex-cop. 5. He's really good at punching. 6. He doesn't look like he wanted to be here. 7. He is not the voice of J.C. Denton from Deus Ex. 8. You don't give a shit about him, and neither do I. The plot of the movie is about as thin as a piece of paper. It's a classic story of coming out of retirement just to avenge something or someone, except there is no character development to literally anyone. To keep things short, Steven Seagal is a mafia boss with an asshole son named Desmond Packer, played by Zach Ward, who played in the 2007's Transformers. Now, the movie begins with Desmond and his partner Chance, played by Chester Rushing, who was actually in Stranger Things? And Logan? Huh. I wonder what went wrong in his career. The movie begins with Desmond and Chance robbing someone and killing the goons. The boss makes a threat that goes absolutely nowhere.
You're making a big mistake. You don't know whose money you're taking.
Sure I do. Mine.
And is never mentioned ever again. What the fuck was the point of it? Chance keeps all the money, and then Desmond later returns to take them. But of course, Chance lost all the money, and Desmond kills him. DMX later shows up to arrest someone. Wait, DMX? Like, actual rapper DMX? Yeah, what the fuck? How did he get in this movie? So DMX goes to Frank and tells him about the devastating news regarding his son's death, and helps him move to the city and attend the funeral. Steven Seagal also hears about this, but doesn't do shit. Okay? Then Frank prepares himself to fully move into the city to take full revenge. There's also a B-plot in the movie where Steven Seagal meets a woman regarding some business, but both you and I don't give a singular shit about it, so I'm just not gonna mention it. Frank then meets up with a female in a coffee shop, then he beats a bunch of people in a back alley, then he decides to go to the hotel that his son died in. Now, despite the room being a crime scene and literally no human on planet Earth is allowed to cross it or stay in it, the hotel owner lets him because he's the dad. And that's very wholesome 100. It would have made more sense if he showed him like a badge or any legal document proving that he's a cop and he's here on a mission, but nope, he's the father. I don't need any proof that you're the father. You could just stay in the room. That's completely fine. We get weird flashbacks showing that he didn't have good chemistry with the son, something I kinda applaud them for it, except it would be a lot better if you showed good chemistry between them, so then there's a bigger and stronger motive for revenge. The movie also does this weird horror-looking ass jump scare where the son keeps waking up and blaming his dad, despite the flashback showing that the son moved on his own and the dad was trying to stop him. He finds a phone hidden in the ceiling and the last number was called being Desmond. He calls the phone and some boring dialogue happens and then he just moves on, okay? He later goes to a bar and meets a woman who apparently dated Chance and knows a thing or two about him. Apparently Chance spent all the money he stole with Desmond on gambling, which is why when Desmond went to grab the money, he didn't find it. Then Frank has a pointless dialogue with the bartender and then leaves. Steven Seagal tries to confront his son about the killing, but that doesn't go anywhere. Frank goes to another bar to meet and confront Desmond. Don't ask how he knew which bar it is at, alright? Just shut the fuck. He beats the fuck out of Desmond and takes the gun and gives it to DMX to check if the bullets match the bullets to kill Chance. We find out that DMX works for Steven Seagal and his son. So, because he ain't no snitch, he gave the gun back to Desmond and tells him to fuck off or something, I don't know. He also tells Steven that Desmond did in fact kill Chance, which we will get to why Steven cares about this. After all, he is the main character, so he needs something relevant to the plot. After connecting the dots, Frank confronts Chance's girlfriend and tells her that she's the reason he died, because she took the money and let him lose it all. There's another scene where Steven confronts his son about the killing and tells him that murder is bad, despite him being a fucking mafia boss.
Your brain doesn't fucking work, you idiot.
Another jump scare, Frank gets attacked by Desmond, but their car blows up so they retreat. Frank goes back to the old house and gets attacked there by Desmond again and his goons, and they actually get him this time and fucking kill him. The end. God damn, that was a very shit move. Of course, they didn't actually kill him, because that would be a bad ending. So, of course, he lives and gets carried to a hospital by the woman he met at the coffee shop, hope you still remember her, and his best friend Swilly. Willy. Played by Bill Cobbs, who's unironically my favorite character. He's like a budget Morgan Freeman who can barely walk, and is probably the only one with dialogue that wasn't written by a 5-year-old. It was at least written by a 7-year-old. Desmond finds out Frank is alive, so he goes to kill Swilly. Frank wakes up, hears about Swilly's death, connects the dots again, and goes to beat the shit out of DMX. In a fight that lasts exactly 20 seconds. I'm not even kidding, I counted it. It was 20 seconds, and then DMX got fucking shot. Then Frank goes to meet Desmond and fucking kills him. Then he goes to Steven and confronts him about something I don't care about. We discover that the reason Steven cares about Chance's death is because he was the one who welcomed him to the city, offered him a job, and even let him stay in a motel.
Look at it. You killed your son. You abandoned him. He was on the street. I gave him a house. I gave him a job. I gave him food. When he passed, I'm the one who told all my people I want to do anything and everything I can to find out who did it and bring him to justice.
Aw, maybe Steven Seagal isn't the bad guy after all. Hey, at the end of the day, he does have a movie called Good Men, so that makes sense. I'm not gonna watch that movie, by the way. I've seen enough Steven Seagal movies. I am not watching that piece of shit. Frank gets killed by Steven, but not before calling the cops and have him arrested. The end. Honestly, with a $5 million budget, according to IMDb, it only managed to obtain $11,000 from DVD sales. And I can see why. This movie's honestly just fucking terrible. Steven Seagal is the most recognizable person in the movie, yet he's barely in it. DMX and Johnny Misner are decent at acting, but the scripts ruin their performance. And I honestly can't say much about this movie. It's just absolutely boring. I actually favor Cats over this movie, because while Cats was visually disturbing to look at and just the absolute worst thing to exist in cinemas, at least it's managed to get a reaction out of me. It wasn't a good reaction, but at least it was something. This movie got nothing out of me. Visually boring, shit dialogue, appalling plot, garbage acting, Steven Seagal barely being in the movie. Pretty much, it was a full-on abomination. However, in Chapter 69 in The Art of War, the great Sun Tzu once said, "One who seeks to rank a Steven Seagal movie must compare it to another Steven Seagal movie." So I watched 2 Steven Seagal movies to keep it all fair. I picked General Commander mainly because it was released the same year as Beyond the Law, so I thought, hey, maybe he put all his passion into here instead of there. And China Salesman, because Mike Tyson was on the cover. That's the only reason why I picked this movie. Legit, funny Mike Tyson is on there. It's gonna be a good movie, I guarantee you. I'm not gonna bother explaining the movies in details. I'll just give a very brief summary of the plot and whether I think they are better or worse than Beyond the Law. So let's start with the first movie. This movie is somehow even worse. I genuinely have no idea how he does it, but he did it again. Once again, Steven Seagal comes striking with another garbage movie. I picked this movie because I thought, hey, Steven Seagal had no passion for Beyond the Law, so maybe all the passion went to here, right? But nope. This fucking fat slob of a human being has no passion for acting in general. How does he keep getting away with this shit? With $12 million in budget, it only made $69,000. What a fucking shame. Easily the worst thing I can say about this movie is the editing. Oh my god, the editing on this piece of shit is fucking garbage.
Did you kill Gino Orsetti?
You're asking me questions that you will never understand. It's not that I've risked my life for my country and done things that most people couldn't have done. Much country is the real reason why I feel so betrayed to my country. Slaughtered. That's the stuff they're not telling you. Where we have literally 2 governments inside a government, nobody would have thought.
Did you kill Orsetti?
It's edited like an Indian movie, but at least Indian movies are edited in a funny way and unnecessary way. This is just trash edits that is unironically made. I'm so fucking pissed. The pacing is slow, the scenes are terribly filmed. Legit, how did you fuck up filming a film? It's literally the name of the project you're working on. A fucking film! Oh yeah, the plot. Basically a bunch of goons who work for the CIA have a mission. They fuck up the mission and someone gets killed. They all go through mental breakdowns and character developments and then bounce back to work as a team with the help of a Hong Kong billionaire. And then tackle the mission once again to succeed. It's fucking painful to sit through this movie. Everything is over-edited and slow, the script is appalling, the acting is miserable, everything else in this movie just sucks. The only 2 credits, okay, the only 2 things I'll give this movie over Beyond the Law is the fact that Steven Seagal has more screen time and that he dies at the end. And that's it. Other than that, fuck this movie. Fun fact about General Commander, it was originally supposed to be a TV series, but they couldn't get enough runtime for it, so they turned it into a movie, which explains why the scenes feel so disconnected, and the fact that there's an entire intro sequence that not only is poorly edited, but it also spoils scenes from the movie. I hate this piece of shit. Next movie. Unironically, despite it being the lowest rated movie that I've seen between these 3, I actually found it to be the most entertainment. Something about the bad acting, shit editing, and again, Steven Seagal barely peeing in this movie. It fell in that weird category where it's so bad that it's good, and it's just hilariously shit, and I find it quite charming. Basically, a Chinese salesman wants to win a competition about telecommunications or something somewhere in Africa, but some French fuck tries to mess with him and frames him for dumb shit so that he can win and control the telecommunication market in Africa. He also hires an African warrior named Cabal, played by Mike Tyson. And of course, because movie, Cabal betrays the French and China salesman wins. Or something. I don't fucking know. I only watched this movie twice. I can't be bothered to watch it again and remember the plot. As expected, Steven Seagal is barely in this piece of shit movie, despite him being on the front cover. And fun fact, one of the biggest selling points of the movie is the fact that there's going to be an epic toe-to-toe battle between Steven Seagal and Mike Tyson. We got Mike Tyson, who's world-famous boxer, undefeated, absolute Chad. And we also have Steven Seagal, master of the art of bullshitsu. But the fight never directly happened. Well, in the movie it did, but in reality it didn't. And I mean that quite literally. If you watch the fight, then you'll realize that they never showed their faces together. It is edited so that you can only see one face at a time. And this was because they're using body doubles instead of the actual actors. And you want to know why? This is because this scene was filmed in Africa, and Mike Tyson isn't allowed back there because of his felon status. And then when they went to film his part, they realized that Steven's paycheck isn't big enough to cover the fight. Good job, Mr. Director. For most of the scenes that featured both Steven Seagal and Mike Tyson, it's either Mike Tyson was digitally added in, like he was fucking chroma keyed using a green screen in the scenes, or they were using body doubles and just not showing their face. How lazy can you be? You paid them enough to show up to the set. You couldn't pay them enough to show up on the same day on the set? One scene in the movie that unironically made me laugh was towards the end, when Cabal was given a speech to completely redeem his character. But it's so horribly scripted, and his lisp makes everything worse.
I have sinned against the Adon tribe. I have sinned against Africa. I have sinned against the ancient Mutulu kingdom. Let go of your dreams of recovering the ancient kingdom. Let go of your hatred, and you will find peace wherever you may be. Please, just let it go. Please.
I know it's a medical condition, he has no control over it, but come on, how do you expect me to react to an emotional speech, a speech about redemption and the character development so seriously when it's said like this? It doesn't make any sense. It's like trying to handshake someone who has no arms. You know he has no arms. It's fucked up that you went to approach to shake his hand when he has no arms, but it's also funny. Some of the stunts in the movie aren't bad, the explosions and people dying are surprisingly well made, and the fight between Steven and Mike was actually not that bad, considering they weren't on the same set together. The doubles did a surprisingly decent job taking cover for the actual actors. I mean, just look at him. If Steven Seagal is my paralysis demon, then this double is his sleep paralysis demon. I've genuinely seen better action choreography in Killer Bean Forever. But this isn't a fair comparison because Killer Bean is a masterpiece, handcrafted by the Greek gods themselves, while China Salesman is a piece of shit that was crafted only to make money. Which it didn't. All in all, I think China Salesman is my favorite out of the three, followed by Beyond the Law, and finally, General Commander. I honestly think Steven Seagal should retire. He did enough, and it's painfully obvious that he no longer has a passion for acting. Most of the scenes he's in, he's just sitting down doing fuck all, despite him being an action star who knows martial arts like Aikido and Bullshitsu. While China Salesman was a train wreck of things going horribly wrong and everything was just terribly filmed, it managed to get a reaction out of me and it made me laugh a couple of times.
Please, just let it go.
It's still a bad movie, yeah. The plot and characters are trash and everything else is appalling, but it managed to get a reaction out of me, and that's what matters to me. General Commander is the worst by far. I hated everything in that movie, and just sitting through it was actual pain. As for Beyond the Law, which is supposed to be the main topic of this video, it's a horrendous piece of shit, but not as horrendous as General Commander. Steven Seagal is a bad actor, and I'm well aware that he knows he's a bad actor, but because he's a recognizable name and he puts asses in the seats at the movie theaters, it's easy to shoehorn him in any movie, even if it doesn't make any sense. Removing every scene of him in both China Salesman and Beyond the Law would still give you a somewhat complete story. Still the same shit story, but it shows that removing him from the movie would hardly change anything. To fully conclude this video, I give Beyond the Law a 3 out of 10, I give China Salesman a 4.7 out of 10, and I give General Commander a 2 out of 10. I hated all of it.